On three, 1, 2, 3.
Drivers, start your engines.
There's the command. Thank you very much for coming out.
There's the commands to start your engines for the first inaugural I Did Pig 100 Jerry Moody Memorial. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for the boys as they're going to go 100 laps of racing here. To me, I would have thought that, Deke probably would have qualified a little bit better, and probably Tony Grady and also Andrew, but a good qualifying run for that car number 4 of Jonathan Finley.
It is. Mike Darn Racing has 4 cars in the event tonight besides his own number 14. That number 4 car of Tony Grady and the number 1 car of Andrew Grady, along with the 4 car of Jonathan Finley, all come out of those stables as the Deacon Jones pace car turns off those lights coming down there, turns into the pit road in that Chevy Camaro as Matt McCall leads them to the start of the race. Green flag is out. Matt McCall with the jump, 18 of Bradley McCaskill on the outside, and Mike Darn on the rear bumper of Matt McCall going into turn number 2.
Mike Darn falls back a little bit. It gives time for Bradley McCaskill to settle down in there in that second place. Meanwhile, Jonathan Finley still battling up there. Cars are accordioning back there about midway through the pack, back there with Deke McCaskill and Haley Moody. Meanwhile, Finley still working on the outside of Mike Darn.
Finley still to the outside of Mike Darn going down the backstretch. Bradley McCaskill about 2 car lengths behind the 51 of Matt McCall, but it's back there in the back. Lewis White beating on the bumper of the 14 car.
Adam Resnick makes the move to the car number 1 of Andrew Grady. Meanwhile, the car number 7 of Lewis White, he also makes the way by the car number 1. Meanwhile, back up front, look at Bradley McCaskill all over the back deck lid of Matt McCall.
Bradley McCaskill still on the back deck lid of Mike McCall, but what you have there, Matt McCall, but what you have is still Mike Darn with Jonathan Finley battling him on the outside for a constant 3 laps here now as Matt McCall still leading the way coming off of turn number 4.
I'll tell you, Jonathan Finley's got to be thinking, or his crew chief has got to be thinking, that's going to be a lot of tire wear, him riding so hard so early, battling with Mike Darn. I thought that we'd see them guys get into position and just ride Mike and save those racing tires.
That is true. Strategy does take into effect, but he just might be so excited that he's just up there in the top 3 of this main feature event. This is a pretty big show for Jonathan, especially to be out there in the lead of these drivers that are here. But you have the number 4 car, Tony Grady, right now beating on the back bumper of Mike Darn, who puts that car together as they go down the front stretch down into the turn number 1.
I'll tell you, Finley's working a high groove that you don't see a whole lot working here at Southern National Motorsports Park, but I mean, he's found something there, Mike, and he's working to the outside of the 18 of Bradley McCaskill.
Looking to make a move on Bradley McCaskill on the outside. That outside groove is definitely working for Jonathan Finley in that 4 car as he looks to take that spot away from Bradley going down the front stretch. Maybe he can tuck in here in turns number 3 and 4, and he does. Bradley tucks in behind the number 4. Jonathan Finley secures spot number 2. Now making an advancement or a move. Looks like he was looking to the outside of Matt McCall in the 51.
I'll tell you what, you don't see many outside passes here at Southern National Motorsport Park, but Jonathan Finley, them guys have found something possibly. They're keeping the RPMs up on the outside line, but meanwhile it's bumper to bumper to bumper to bumper all the way back to the 15th position.
Definitely some drivers just setting pace and checking out their tire maintenance here at the track. Jonathan Finley definitely has some ponies underneath that hood on the rear bumper, and Matt McCall can throw a blanket over these guys in the top 5 positions.
Looks like we're going to have a caution for some debris at the exit of turn number 4. A lot of beating and banging back there between the 07 of Ronald Renfro and some of them other cars. I'll tell you, it looked like that the whole field was held up behind Matt McCall as it looked like a choo-choo train, Mike. They were all looked to be hooked together all the way back, all the way to the entire 15-car field.
Glad to see when that caution was thrown, a little patience was put out there from the driver so that there was no incidents that happened when that caution came out at the 50-lap break. But right now, what's going through his mind is just really maintaining track position right now.
Cone restart. Matt McCall, he goes to the inside. Jason Finley goes to the inside also. Jonathan Finley, goes to the inside also. Bradley, he goes to the outside, as does the 14 of Mike Darn. So that's going to stack them up again 2 by 2 by 2. 7 rows deep as the lights are out on the Deacon Jones Chevrolet Camaro as they'll be coming around to the green. It's Matt McCall and Bradley McCaskill working the front row.
You got the Drama in Lucama crew, the 4 and the 16 from the Thanksgiving Classic at the last year's Thanksgiving Classic. That's Rusty Daniels behind the 4 of Tony Grady. Those two are not strangers to competitiveness out here at Southern National.
Green flag in the air. Matt McCall battles a lot of bump and run on the back straightaways. The 63 of Tyler Matthew gets into the back of the 7 of Lewis White, as meanwhile back up towards the front, Darn is working hard to the outside of the 4 of Tony Grady.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what happened there. It looked like the 07 of Renfro just made a hard left turn, which made the 14 and the 7 kind of check up. And unfortunately for Tyler Matthews, he was just the casualty of that checkup. He got into the rear end of one of those cars, and now I bet you he can barely see out of that thing with his hood all tucked up like that. But now the 18 of Bradley McGaskill showing us the position 1 coming off of turn number 4. Jonathan Finley to the outside of Matt McCall in that 51 machine going down into turn number 1.
I'll tell you what, Mike, I've already said it about 2 or 3 times that Jonathan Finley is working an outside groove that you do not see many drivers even attempt here. But I'll tell you, he's showing it that it's here and it can work as he makes the pass on the 51 of Matt McCall.
I've only seen one other driver in my past couple years here, and that would have been Garrett Campbell work the outside groove like Jonathan is working it today. And it worked for him very well, so hopefully Jonathan keeps that up. The number 4 right now of Tony Grady working on the rear bumper of the 51 of Matt McCall, and the 16 of Rusty Daniels, a little love touch down there on the front stretch of Tony Grady. Like I said, that Drama in Lucama from the Thanksgiving Classic 2014 might come into play as the 16 of Rusty Daniels looks to the outside of number 4 coming out of turn 4.
Meanwhile, back in about the 10th or 12th spot, the car number 7 of Lewis White working to the car number 14 of Adam Resnick. Looks like Lewis White's going to take that position. Meanwhile, back for the 4th spot, the car number 16 works under Matt McCall.
Car number 14 of Mike Darn moves into position number 5 to the inside of Matt McCall in the 51. I'm not sure if there's something wrong with Matt's car or if this is just strategy. If he just, hey, my car's good, ran it for, we've got 17 laps in the books. He ran it for the first 10 laps. Little contact there between the 07 running into the back of the 08 of Deke McGaskill.
I'll tell you what, he better not relax too much because those guys back there are really battling for position. The 08 of Deke McCaskill, the 07 gets in the back of him, and the 7 in the back of him. So, I mean, those guys right there are racing like it's the last 10 laps, Mike.
Well, we've only got 19 in the books. The 7 of Lewis White goes deep to the inside of the 07 just to get around him. And the 14 of Adam Resnick puts the bumper to the 07 going down into turn number 4. That's the 50 of Haley Moody. Now to the inside, gets an advancement. The 14 of Adam Resnick pushes Ronald Renfro down the front stretch. A lot of beating and banging going on back there in the tail end of this field here today.
Awfully early for so much beating and banging, I would think, especially racing back there for somewhere around 13th, 14th, 15th position. Meanwhile, it looks like the front 3 are going to settle down, but maybe not. Jonathan Finley looks like he wants to make a move on Bradley McCaskill.
Jonathan Finley to the inside of the 18. That pink machine of Bradley McGaskill. Jonathan Finley claims the top spot here with 22 laps underneath his belt in this 50-lap first half of the iDig Pigs 100 at Southern National. Jonathan Finley going down into turn number 4 maintains that position. Bradley McGaskill now falls to P3 while Rusty Daniels steps up into that P2 position, coming off that win at East Carolina last night.
Mike, not sure if you know or not, but Jonathan Finley, a very old 16 years. 16 years old is all Jonathan Finley is, wheeling these late models against guys that have that many years experience.
Yeah, Jonathan Finley and actually my son Mason Diaz. Mason Diaz used to run back-to-back wins at Old Dominion Speedway in Manassas, Virginia. Both of those drivers coming. Jonathan's out of the Bristow area, which is just a hop, skip, and a jump from Manassas. But they're both from my home track, Old Dominion Speedway, back in Manassas, Virginia. Jonathan's really showing some advancement here in his late model stock career.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, to be 16 years old and to be leading the race, a little bit of contact between the 14 of Adam Resnick. Trouble, Adam Resnick gets a little sideways after making contact with the 63. He gathers it back up, but loses 2 positions.
Yeah, Adam's really driving some aggressive out there right now. I mean, just ran right into the side of the 63 right there, held on tight. It's a little early in the race, but hey, it's something to watch, and it's action, and it's a great show, and he knows how to put on a show.
That's right. It's all about showmanship, and it's the fans that make it excitement. Sideways cars always put a smile on the fans' face. But tell you what, look at the car number 16 of Rusty Daniels, Mike. He rolled off in the 9th spot, and he's rolled up there to the 2nd spot with about 4 to 8 car lengths back to the 18 of Bradley McCaskill.
You know, I was talking to Rusty earlier. He was a little bit concerned over the motor combinations that we had, especially for this particular race, because there are some late model stock drivers that have kind of dropped back to our rule package. Other tracks run a different rule package, and they've kind of dropped back to come run our rule package here. But as you can tell, we've done our research, and our motor packages here are pretty equal. Right now, I believe you have a Chevy built. Jonathan Finley's running a Chevy built motor. The 16 is a crate motor. The 18 is a crate motor. The 4 is a little Hickory motor. The 14 is a Chevy built. And then you have a Ford crate motor in the 08. Not quite sure what's underneath the hood of Matt McCall's car, but I know a Ford crate motor is underneath the hood of the 7 core. And of course, you know, Ford Racing, you know, helped us sponsor this race a little bit, gave us $1,000, an additional $500 to the winner here at Southern National tonight for this event, and then $500 spread throughout the field. So we appreciate that sponsorship from Ford Racing and everything that they do to help short tracks succeed.
Tell you what, it's good to have the Ford crates breaking into a late model racing. You know, it was just pretty much strictly Chevrolets for many, many years, and then Ford's kind of upped their crate motor program to try to get involved. But tough break. Looks like the H&L Logan Chevrolet of Ford of Lewis White. Looks like he's pulling it in. He's probably done for the day, Mike.
Yeah, he's nosing it in. I'm not quite sure if that's his trail of fluid that he's dropped on the track right there, or if it's dry, but I'm not quite sure why he's calling it a day, but he has definitely nosed it into his trailer. 34 laps complete. Mark, the tire man, is going over there to act and check to see exactly what's going on. Maybe he'll communicate up here with the tower. But meanwhile, the 16 of Rusty Daniels has taken over P1 position here, with Jonathan Finley falling back to 2nd place, followed by the 18 of Bradley McCaskill and the 4 of Tony Grady.
Mike, I heard you talking earlier to the car number 4 of Tony Grady. He called him the senior of the field. Actually, Lewis White has him by 6 years, so Lewis White is the senior in the field, but I'll tell you what, tough break for him today.
Well, I tell you, and that just kind of makes it official for Lewis White. We can call him Grandpa, and we officially can in a couple of weeks. His daughter is due here in a couple of weeks with, I believe, his first grandchild. So we can officially stamp that on the forehead, Grandpa.
So congratulations to the entire Lewis White family. So I'll tell you what, look who's got the lead, Mike. The car number 16 of Rusty Daniels. He rolled off 9th. But I'll tell you, Mike, sentiment amongst the drivers as I was talking to them coming up through the driver introductions was they're just not sure about this, where in the world the inversion is going to come, or what Langley Austin has up his sleeve.
Well, not quite sure. Langley likes to try and make the shows interesting. That is for sure. Not sure what the inversion is going to be. Could be the whole field, could be 2, could be 8, who knows? We'll leave that up to him. That's why he gets paid the big bucks, Charlie.
That's right. I'll tell you what, you know, inversions are good for the fans, the drivers. I think they don't mind them because it's no fun to sit out there and just ride around and just ride around. But I'll tell you what, there's a lot on the line today. That beautiful I Dig Pigs 100 Jerry Moody trophy, definitely something to put on the shelf.
I tell you, the 41 laps in the book, 42 laps in the book, 8 laps to the halfway break. A lot of things going through these drivers' minds right now. You can see that the 16 of Rusty Daniels and the 4 of Jonathan Finley have a considerable lead over the 4 of Tony Grady and the rest of the pack. Not quite sure if it's just tire management for these guys in the back that have just kind of laid back. Hopefully Rusty Daniels is saving his tires, looking for win number 2 of the weekend. But definitely Matt McCall's landed back there in the 7th position, right behind Deke McCaskill and Bradley. So maybe tire management is really what's in play right now. 44 laps in the books here at Southern National. I know it's a really special race there for Mike Darn as a little bit earlier. Tommy Hartman, who is a great friend, actually pitted on Mason's Super Late Model team. That's why I got choked up just a little bit while ago. Tommy Hartman was just a great guy, very much like Jerry Moody. Just really loved racing, did whatever he could, drove there 4 hours, 5 hours, it didn't matter. He helped Mike out, and it's just something that I know Mike's got on his sleeve. He's riding his decal today, so wishing the best for him and his team, and a good finish for tonight.
Well, I'll tell you what, Rusty Daniels, he is not concerned about that invert at all. He's opened up a 6-8 car length lead over the car number 4 of Jonathan Finley, and then it's another 5 or 6 car lengths back to Tony Grady. Meanwhile, Mike Darn works 4th, Bradley McCaskill 5th, Deke McCaskill 6th, Matt McCall 7th, Andrew Grady 8th, Haley Moody 9th. Car number 14 of Adam Resnick is 10th. The 63 of Tyler Matthews is 11th. The 07 of Renfro 12th. And rounding out the field that's currently running is the 24 of Kenneth Marshall.
Right now you have a little bit of some trying to advance through the field. Looks like they are. 50 laps in the book. I know the caution is going to come out here shortly. That competition caution, so that they can make some changes and some advancements on their stuff. Rusty Daniels bringing out putting it across there.
Yeah, it's halfway. It'll be caution flag next time by, Mike. Looks like we'll go down and maybe get a couple of interviews with a couple of drivers here during the break. And tell you what, Rusty Daniels is going to lead him to the halfway break with Jonathan Finley. Jonathan Finley runs 2nd. The 4 of Tony Grady is 3rd. So 50 laps in the book. I believe we're going to get Langley Austin, the promoter here, to go down there to the car number 16 of Rusty Daniels to draw for the invert. Get a quick word with the driver of the car number 4, Jonathan Finley. Jonathan, I'll tell you what, not many guys make that outside lane work, but you've made a couple great passes. You passed the 51 of Matt McCall on the outside, and also a couple other guys. I'll tell you what, that's a tough groove to make work, but you're making it work today.
Oh, yes, sir. I just didn't want to get hung out to dry on the outside and have to go all the way to the rear and make that up. So I just run up there until I could get down, and eventually my spotter called me clear, so I pulled down, and that's when it went to tire conservative mode. So I think we'll be good for the second half. We should be stout.
All right, I'll tell you rode 5 or 6 laps there with Mike Darn side by side. Thought you said you were going to take it easy the first few laps and kind of hold to save the tires.
Yeah, well, he wouldn't let me down that much, so I just had to sort of run it dogged until we could eventually get down. So he's a good guy. Like I said, he's my car chief, so we just had to get a place to find to get down. So and we eventually did and just rode.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's riding in the 2nd spot. Give him a hand. That's Jonathan Finley.
Around here, Rusty, tell us how the car's doing. You're out here. You were a little bit worried about the power plant underneath the hood, but how's tire management going? Tell us a little about the car and your strategies going on to this next 50.
We just kind of wanted to get out front, cool down a little bit. We run a little warm. I know everybody was saving tires and that kind of stuff, so we'll see what we got here at the end. We were trying to save tires as good as we could.
Well, good luck on this next 50 laps. Trying to go back-to-back, Rusty Daniels in the 16 machine. All right, Charlie, Rusty just made the draw. He drew the number 2, so it'll be the top 2 with the invert today. Top 2 for the invert today for the second 50 laps of the iDig Pigs 100.
I'll tell you, they drew a 2 down there, so falling back, if it was unintentional, waiting for the invert, because you never know, but it's still going to make it fun these last 50 laps.
Oh, yeah, we were just playing the game like everybody else. It is what it is. I mean, last time we were here, we come from 17th to 1st, so it ain't no big deal for us. We'll put on a show for the fans as always.
Ladies and gentlemen, give him a hand. That's Bradley McCaskill. He rolled off outside pole, and he's starting the last half in the 5th position. It's going to be a great 50 laps of action to see some of these guys from the mid-pack try to make their way back to the front.
It definitely will be some great action here. Jonathan Finley, pole position after the invert. Cone is out. Deke McCaskill takes the outside. Going to be starting 6th. right next to Mike Darn in the 5th position. Matt McCall strapped in, ready to go for this second 50 laps. Jonathan Finley leads him to turn number 1 with Rusty Daniels to the outside. Rusty looking to get down to the inside as fast as he can. That's the 4 car of Tony Grady, tucking in behind the 4 car of Jonathan Finley. Both of those cars coming out of the same Mike Darn Racing out of Concord, North Carolina.
Well, it's a pair of 4s, 1 and 2 down the back straightaway. The car number 18 of Bradley McCaskill being worked hard on the outside by the 08 of Deke McCaskill. Trouble, turn number 4. Car number 24 of Kenneth Mercer loops it around in front of the last couple cars in the field. All the guys taking some evasive action. Not sure what's the problem with the car number 1. It looks like there's some kind of rub, some smoke coming out of the car number 1 of Tony Grady. He just makes a little bit of rub after the fact with a 63. So not sure what happened there between those two guys, but Grady comes to the attention of his crew.
Yeah, and I don't know if that was a little retaliation, little bump onto the 63 right there or not, but I missed exactly what happened. Chris smacking David Casey got the running order in shape for the cone to come out. 18 of Bradley McCaskill goes to the outside. Mike Darn goes to the outside. 08, Adam Resnick inside. Matt McCall to the outside. 63 and 50, and the 24 went to the outside. I'm sure Mike Hare is going to put him back because he's the one who brought the caution, so he needs to go to the inside.
Still looks like a little bit of smoke there on the car number 1. Not sure if that's a tire rub, Mike, or maybe some fluid leaking down on the header or something causing that smoke on the 1, but he's laying back a little bit, waiting for the green flag. It's green flag in the air.
Tony Grady with a jump on that restart over the 4 Jonathan Finley with the 18 of Bradley McCaskill. Mike Darn falls back, loses 3 positions as the field kind of gets lined up here, ready to go.
Definitely something wrong with that car number 1 of Andrew Grady. He looks like he's going to pull it to the attention of his crew. Looks like he's going to be done for the day. Meanwhile, back out on the racing surface, actually he's going to stay with the attention of his crew. They're not going to pull the hood off yet, but they're waving at him. But back at the racetrack, it's Mike Darn underneath the 51 of Matt McCall.
Mike Darn still to the inside of the 51 of Matt McCall as they come through turns 1 and 2. The 08 of Deke McCaskill looking to the inside of the 16 of Rusty Daniels.
Deke leans hard on the door of the car number 16 of Rusty Daniels. Here comes Matt McCall on the back decklet of Deke McCaskill. He's going to try to make his way by that Bojangles machine as they go down the back straightaway. McCall stays in the gas just a little bit longer, pulls up side by side. As they come out of turn number 4, it's going to be Matt McCall taking the position away.
Mike Darn now looking to the inside of that 16 machine of Rusty Daniels coming off of turn number 2. But it's still the battle of 4s up front. That is Tony Grady in the 4 up front, the black 4, and that's Jonathan Finley in the red car. 1 and 2 here at the park tonight.
Well, it's a pair of 4s, 1 and 2, and then it's a pair of McCaskills for 3 and 4. And then right in that 5th spot, I think that's going to be the man to watch. That's the 51 of Matt McCall.
Definitely making his move right now to the inside of the 08 of Deke McCaskill coming off of turn number 2. Now with his sights on the rear bumper of the 18 of Bradley McCaskill.
I asked Deke earlier in the interview about what the difference was with the horsepower difference with the motor combination with the carburetor difference. He said quite a bit of difference that he could tell. So maybe he's just ain't quite got the handling on that 08 yet. But I'll tell you what, there's still about 40 laps to go, Mike. So there's plenty of time there for that 08 right in the 5th spot.
Looked like Jonathan Finley looking to the inside of the other 4 of Tony Grady coming off of turn number 2, but then Grady pulls out front, leads the way down through 4, coming across the start finish right now. It's the 51 of Matt McCall still on the move to the inside of Bradley McGaskill down through 1 and 2. Now Matt McCall secures position 3.
I'm sure that the car number 4 of Jonathan Finley probably got the call from the spotters that the 51 is on the move, that you better make your way to the front and try to get away from him a little bit, because Matt McCall, he is picking it up and putting it down, going down the back straightaway as he closes in 2-3 car lengths on the car number 4 of Jonathan Finley.
Back in the field, you have the 50 car of Haley Moody to the inside of the 63 of Tyler Matthews. Tyler Matthews now looking to the inside, almost turns the 50 car of Haley Moody, coming off of lap 2.
Haley's car not handling the way she's really accustomed to, but this is her first trip out to Southern National Motorsports Park this year, so not a lot of laps on that car here this year in 2015. But meanwhile, look who's reeled him in. The car 51 of Matt McCall has finally come to the 3rd spot and to the attention of Jonathan Finley.
Haley Moody puts the bumper to the car number 63, coming out of turn number 4. Probably just a little bit upset. They're back there racing in the back of the pack. There's no need to be that aggressive back there in the pack. But it is the 51 of Matt McCall all over the bumper of the 4 car of Jonathan Finley.
Well, I'll tell you what, Haley Moody racing for more than a trophy today, so this race would mean the world to her. So she's probably throwing everything she's got at this race. But meanwhile, back at the front, it's still Tony Grady, Jonathan Finley, and Matt McCall rounding out the top 3.
Then you have the 18 of Bradley McGaskill in the P4 spot, with the 08 of Deke McGaskill in the 5th spot, followed by Mike Darn and Rusty Daniels. The 14 of Adam Resnick, the 63 of Tyler Matthews, the 50 of Haley Moody. Following up the tail end of the field, that's the 24 of Keith Mercer.
I'll tell you what, I think it's going to be go time for Jonathan Finley, because Matt McCall is getting ready to make the move on him. He ducks down to the inside of the left rear quarter panel. Finley working the high side, McCall working the low side. It's going to be McCall at the line, and he's going to take that spot going into turn number 1.
Matt McCall definitely making the moves. Now he's holding down the P2 position with Tony Grady up front. He's definitely making his moves through the pack, with only coming up on 32 laps left in this 100 feature event. I Dig Pigs 100 Jerry Moody Memorial race here at Southern National today. The field's kind of spread out just a tad bit.
Well, I told you, Mike, with about 40 laps to go, I think the man to watch was going to be Matt McCall. He was riding back there in that 5th spot, but I'll tell you, he asked when we were down there for the driver interviews at the halfway break. He wanted to know, he said, am I 7th or 8th? And so he definitely knew where he was and where he had to go and how much time he had to get there. So he is definitely on the move, and I think we'll be seeing him make a move on Tony Grady here within the next 10 laps.
Well, absolutely, probably. It looks like his car's in pretty good place. I'm not sure what kind of tire management Tony's been utilizing over the past 72 laps. Hopefully he held on to what he had. Matt McCall looking to the inside briefly there for a second of the number 4 car of Tony Grady. Jonathan Finley's falling back about maybe 6-7 car lengths, and the 18 and the 08 of Deke McGaskill just a little bit further back in the pack.
So Tony said in the halfway break that he had enough in his car. He said that it would go when he wanted it to go. It would save it when he wanted to save it. So if it will go, he better make it go, because Matt McCall is knocking on the back door.
Yes, he is. Matt McCall right there putting a little bumper action to the 4 car of Tony Grady to the inside of him. Tony gives him a little bit of room, but he's not going to give him both veteran drivers here out at Southern National. Matt McCall to the inside of Tony. Tony running him pretty rough, pinching him down just a little bit. Matt runs him up the track just a tear. Tony trying to do the outside in move on him, and it just didn't work.
Well, I'll tell you what, that was a tear of a move by the 51 of Matt McCall as he makes his way around the car number 4 of Tony Grady. Looks like there's some front end damage on the 50 of Haley Moody, possibly got into the back of that 63 of Tyler Matthews. Once again, those guys battling back there for the 9th and 10th position. So front end damage on that car number 50 for Haley Moody.
Deke McGaskill now looking to make a move on his cousin, the 18 of Bradley McGaskill, going through turns 1 and 2. Right now, Matt McCall with a pretty decent lead over the 4 car of Tony Grady.
Matt McCall opens up 2-3 car lengths down the front straightaway. Here comes Jonathan Finley. Now he's going to try to pull up to the back deck lid of Tony Grady. Also the 18 of Bradley McCaskill. Caution on the speedway. Caution on the speedway. Possibly some debris from the car number 50 of Haley Moody. Haley Moody has some front end damage, so possibly some debris off of that 50 car. Tyler Matthews really battling hard back there for that spot. Both of those race cars look like they've been in a war. Matt McCall definitely probably looking like the strongest car, but I'll tell you, I believe that 16 of Jonathan Finley, he's probably hungry. I'm not sure if he missed a cone on that deal, but he is going to relinquish that second spot to Bradley McCaskill. So Bradley's going to go from the 4th spot all the way to the outside pole position there for 22 laps. That could be the smooth move of the race, Mike.
That is a possibility. That just might be the smooth move of the race with only 22 left to go. Lights are out on the Deacon Jones Chevy Camaro as Jim Bushy navigates that down to pit road as Matt McCall brings him around turn number 4. Green flag waving. Bradley McCaskill, Matt McCall taking the start.
Looks like Matt McCall pulls out to about a half a car length lead. It looks like a little bit of contact between the 18 of Bradley McCaskill and the 4 of Tony Grady. Also, look at Deke McCaskill. He's tucked up there trying to work the outside of Grady also.
Little contact there between the 4 of Tony Grady and the 18 of Bradley McCaskill. Filling up the windshield of Deke McCaskill. He's just hanging out to see exactly what happens between those two. Jonathan Finley still to the inside of the 08 as Matt McCall gets a little bit of time to grow his lead over this pack that's racing really hard.
More contact between the 18 and the 4. The 18 trying to give the 4 some room. The 4 has broke loose a couple times. The 4 not giving the 18 any room here as they come up. He's using his door all up as the brake coming out of turn number 3 and 4, but down the front straightaway, Bradley trying to make them some room as they go through side by side for that 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th position.
I tell you, Matt McCall is just broken away from the pack, but it's 2 by 2 for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th position as Jonathan Finley looks to the inside of the number 4, Tony Grady, making it 3 wide, coming off of 4 down into turn number 1.
Yeah, Mike, I'm not sure about how 3 wide racing will work here, but Jonathan Finley sure did think about it. He had worked the high side for several laps, but here they are side by side, the 18 of Bradley McCaskill and the 4 of Tony Grady at a dead heat coming across the start-finish line.
83 laps in the books here of 100. Only 17 more remaining. The 4 of Tony Grady looks to make an advancement. Bradley McCaskill, Jonathan Finley gets into the tail end of Bradley McCaskill. The 18, Deke moves to the outside, but meanwhile, it's the 63 of Taylor Matthews looking to the inside.
Caution to the exit of turn number 2. The 63 of Tyler Matthews gets into the left rear quarter paddle of the 14 of Mike Darn. But I'll tell you what, Mike, all that started when the 4 car and
no way you can call this one here. Cautions breed cautions. We got 84 laps in the book. Caution laps do not count. Bradley McCaskill moves to the outside. Deke McCaskill moves to the outside. So now we have Matt McCall in the pole position. Bradley McCaskill starting 2nd. Tony Grady 4. Deke McCaskill starting in the 4th spot. Jonathan Finley starting 5th. And Haley Moody now is up to the 5th position.
Mike, I just trying to figure out the strategy here for Tony Grady and Jonathan Finley, letting the 4th place car go all the way to the outside pole position with just 18 laps remaining. I mean, I would think that this is pretty much all or nothing to give away 3 spots.
Deacon Jones pace car pulls into the pits as
caution.
Caution on the racetrack As the 4 of Jonathan Finley's involved, the 14 of Mike Darn and the 50 of Haley Moody and the 63 of Tyler Matthews down to the inside. So on this particular thing, we'll go back to lap of record. This one. Which was the finish lap prior to the caution that came out earlier. And then everybody that
84 laps of 100 in the book. Not sure exactly what transpired there on that restart. The 18 of Bradley McCaskill didn't like the restart, pull down to the inside, and then they all bottled up behind him. So tough break. But lights are out on the Deacon Jones pace car for the 16-lap finale here as the green flag is in the air. Tell you what, the 18 of Bradley McCaskill got a super jump off of there, but Matt McCall works back to the inside. Deke McCaskill to the high side of the racing surface above that 4 of Tony Grady. The 18 trying to make his way down. He clears the 4 of Andrew Grady. So here he comes. He's going to set sights for the 51 of Matt McCall.
The 08 of Deke McCaskill to the outside of the 4 of Tony Grady down into turn number 4. It's the 18 of Bradley McCaskill in P2. But it's Matt McCall who's out front right now by about 3 or 4 car lengths.
Meanwhile, here's Deke McCaskill. He's going to try to look to the deck lid of that ABC Hosiery Chevrolet of Tony Grady. Meanwhile, back there at the back, they're all trying to make a move. Here, the 50 of Haley Moody all over the deck lid of Kenneth Mercer as they're battling Tyler Matthews. All of them down there in the turns 1 and 2.
Coming to 88 laps complete out of 100. Matt McCall is still your leader here in tonight's race with the 18 of Bradley McCaskill in second, the 4 of Tony Grady in third. Meanwhile, Haley Moody's trying to work her way through the pack, coming up from the back of the field. She's got the 63 of Tyler Matthews in her sights. The 4 of Jonathan Finley's trailing the 14 of Mike Darn back in the 7th and 8th position.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Mike, if we had a Goodies Headache Award to give, I believe I'd have to give it to that car number 4 of Jonathan Finley. He had a great run going all day long. Then he gets the run into the back of on a restart that kind of got bottled up. So I definitely give him the Goodies Headache Award today for the 4 of Jonathan Finley.
Yeah, he had such a great race going and then just kind of caught up in that last caution, which just put him way back in the field. But it is still the 51 of Matt McCall who's out front, with the 4 of Jonathan Finley still behind the 14 of Mike Darn back in the 7th and 8th position. It's the 50 of Haley Moody battling it back there in the tail end of the field with the 63 of Tyler Matthews. Bradley McCaskill still in P2 here for tonight's race with Adam Resnick in the 5th spot in the Southern National tonight.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's going to be a hope, a prayer, and a miracle for the 18 of Bradley McCaskill to probably reel in that 51 of Matt McCall as he is completely checked out. He's got to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 car lengths, taking 7 laps remaining. I'll tell you what, the battle is going to be probably for that 3rd spot, Mike, if there's going to be another change.
Well, I'm not quite sure. There's 94 laps in the book, 6 laps to go. Not sure if Deke has anything for that 4 car of Tony Grady. They're all separated there by about 2 car lengths from 2nd position all the way back to 5th position.
Matt McCall, a wily veteran here at Southern National Motorsports Park, also crew chief for the Jamie McMurray Sprint Cup team. I'll tell you, he knows just about the ins and outs of a race car, and it's paying off today with just 4 laps remaining in the I Dig Pigs 100 Jerry Moody Memorial. Deke McCaskill closes in another 1 or 2 car lengths down the back straightaway at the exit of turn number 2, and it's still single file all the way around the racetrack. Deke still trying to get that 3rd spot away from Tony Grady.
Matt McCall coming off turns number 3 and 4 to the flagman, Mr. Beebe, showing them 2 laps to go right now. 2 laps to go in this main 100-lap feature event here at Southern National tonight.
Well, I'll tell you what great racing action it's going to be. It's going to be 1 4/10 mile trip around the racing surface for that 51 of Matt McCall. For the final time, it's Matt McCall, Bradley McCaskill, Andrew Grady, Deke McCaskill. For the last time down the back straightaway, it's a 1/3 of a mile left for the car number 51 of Matt McCall. He's going to come to the checkered flag.
And Matt McCall takes the inaugural Jerry Moody race here at Southern National Motorsports Park. The I Dig Pigs 100, victorious by the 51 of Matt McCall, followed by the 18 of Bradley McCaskill, the 4 of Tony Grady, the 08 of Deke McCaskill, the 16 of Rusty Daniels, the 14 of Adam Resnick, the 14D of Mike Darn finishes in the 7th position, the 4 of Jonathan Finley finishes in the 8th. Haley Moody finishes 9th, Tyler Matthews 10th, Kenneth Mercer 11th, Andrew Grady 12th, Ronald Renfro 13th, Lewis White 14th, and JD Eversole. That rounds out your 15 cars as Matt McCall does a little donut down there on the front stretch in celebration of his victory here at Southern National today.
As we wait for Matt McCall to arrive here in Victory Lane, don't forget next Saturday night, Wake County Speedway, the Mini Mayhem race. Green flag will be at 7:15. So, ladies and gentlemen, as he's getting ready to climb from that race car, make sure you make some noise. Here he is, the winner, the driver of the car number 51. It's Matt McCall. I'll tell you what, a couple of pictures here. Matt, first and foremost, welcome back to Southern National Motorsports Park. Congratulations on a big win. I'm not sure if it's probably the biggest in your career, as you've had some pretty big ones, but what a beautiful trophy there, the I Dig Pigs 100 Jerry Moody Memorial. Close to home for you, definitely one that you'll put on the shelf and display with pride.
Absolutely. I thank everybody that's put this together for Jerry. I mean, he was an awesome man. It's pretty cool to win this race, though. I got to thank all these guys, though, because my schedule makes it a little bit hard to work on this car, and Wendell did a really nice job getting it ready.
I'll tell you what, a lot of hard racing there. You were watching the lot of racing there between the 4 car of Andrew Grady, Tony Grady, and Deke McCaskill. You were kind of just sitting back there letting them use their stuff up. Pretty much you knew you could go at any time, or you think they used it up a little bit more than you?
I wish it was that easy. No, the car was just good the second half. We made a couple of adjustments there. You know, it helped out. But I got to apologize to all the people that hurt their race cars today, because apparently I can't shift.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you what, give him a hand. He's always a front runner here at Southern National Motorsports Park, as the owner, Michael Diaz, gives him the congratulatory I Dig Pigs 100 trophy here in Victory Lane. Be sure to get you lots of pictures, Matt, with that trophy, and savor the moment. Over here to Mike Diaz with the second place finisher.
Well, down here, second place finish for the driver of the 18, Bradley McCaskill, with the new color scheme out here. I don't know if you heard earlier, you got a new fan. She's right up there. See her waving? She says, you're her driver just because you got pink on it. So I made her aware that you just changed it. How was the car? It looked like a pretty interesting race out there for you guys.
Yeah, it was good. We just over-adjusted right there at the halfway break. But still, like we said from the beginning of the day, Matt was going to be the one to beat. Congratulations to him. He had an awesome car. And like I said, to finish second to him, that's all right. A lot of good, hard racing with me and Tony. I mean, just some old school guys racing. That's how, that's fun. So as long as you can race, not tear up anybody's cars, good show for the fans.
Looks like everything's in one piece. Hopefully we'll see you back out here for our next event on June 13th. Where are you headed in between here and then?
To the lake. We're going to go hang out on the pontoon and relax for a while.
There you go, little pontoon. Anybody in particular that you like to thank that might be on your car?
Everybody. This is a total team effort, as I said, always a total family effort. Everybody puts a lot of hard work on this in this car, so just everybody on the car, everybody involved. It's fun.
Well, congratulations on your second place finish. Put it down there to Charlie, Tony Grady, who finishes third today at Southern National.
All right, over here with the Raleigh, North Carolina ABC hosiery driver, Tony Grady. I'll tell you what, Tony, heck of a show you guys were putting on. Looks like you guys were using each other a little bit to brake and turn and everything else, but cars in one piece, third place finish. Looks like you got the Southern National pinstripe here on the right-hand side, so not sure how much higher you could get there, but I'll tell you what, congratulations. Great racing that you and Bradley put on for the fans.
Yeah, that got really physical, but with me and him, we can do that because we know we won't crash. Most of these other guys, you touch them and during the fence and moms wanting to come beat your head in, but we went at it pretty good. We were racing for second. We didn't have nothing for the 51 car. I had a second place car and I bounced it off the fence, and then me and Bradley got to kissing each other, and so. But we had a good run. We had a good run. That was a lot of fun. So, and hey, I was a McCaskill sandwich. He was a Grady sandwich the other week, so it was my turn, I guess.
So I'll tell you what, third place, it's not bad, especially for this big race. So congratulations to Matt and them. What do you guys have in store for the upcoming month?
A lot of racing somewhere. You know, we had so many rainouts here. Hope we get this place back on track, and we just want to go racing. We got good cars, and that shows. So we'll pick and choose, and of course we'll be back here. You know, nicest place around.
Ladies and gentlemen, give him a hand. Third place finish for the car number 4 of Andrew Grady.